Edo period, also known as the Tokugawa period, took place between 1603 and 1868. It earned its namesake from the Tokugawa shogunate, a group of regional daimyo, all under the shogun, who ruled Japan from the newly christened capital, Edo, later to be renamed Tokyo. The emperor was a figurehead who still existed at this time, but had little real power. Up until the very beginning of the Edo period, Japan had been in a period of heavy trade with both the Chinese and with the West. But Christianity was encroaching upon Japanese cultural practices. Japan was highly suspicious of outsiders, and under the new shogunate, Japanese society became more closed off to the outside. It became law that Japanese citizens could not leave the country. Christianity was forbidden. Strict social orders of etiquette and class were put in place. Trade with the West was carefully controlled, and primarily limited to China and through the Dutch, and very briefly the English. All other outsiders were shunned throughout the Edo period. During this time, Japanese society looked inward, and the art of the time became focused on refinement, form, and technique. The Japanese people were among the first of the civilizations to produce ceramics. Fine works in porcelain were produced in urban centers during the Edo period, such as Kyoto, Osaka, and in the capital of Edo. We see beautifully painted plates, bowls, and cups, used by the highest in Japanese society at this time. However, many glorious amateur potters produced their own beautiful works during this time as well. Due to the prosperity of the time and new kiln technology, artisans were willing to take the time to refine their craft in traditional roots to beautiful effect. We also see Chinese influence during this time due to refugees making their way into the country just before it was closed off. During the Edo period, we see themes of Japanese cultural mythology and stories as subject matter in their painting. Many styles emerged during the Edo period, taking not only from the previous Momoyama period, but also incorporated method used in Chinese painting styles and in Western styles as well. Japanese woodblock print work produced a very distinctive style of image. The name for the movement was ukiyo, or floating world. It spawned from the wealth of the merchant class, who, despite being considered at the bottom of the Japanese social order, benefited greatly during the Edo period. Woodblock prints could be mass-produced. As such, many of them still survive today. We see amazing slice-of-life scenes of culture at the time, all reflected here in woodblock print. 36 Views of Mount Fuji by Hokusai, probably one of the most famous works of the Edo period. This series is most famous for containing the Great Wave off Kanagawa, something that I think most of us will have seen and would be familiar with. It's interesting to note that despite the name, there are actually 46 within the series, due to an additional 10 added after initial publication. Each work contains a different angle and lighting of Mount Fuji, a spiritual and culturally significant landscape in Japanese culture. The symmetry of this volcanic peak was captured and mastered from every angle and in every light. This series has gone on to inspire many artists and remains one of the most iconic works to emerge from the Edo period. The Edo period was a time of cultural isolation. Its ending would come due to outside pressure from none other than... That's right. In the summer of 1853, 4 American gunships under command of Matthew Perry appeared in Edo Bay with an ultimatum: trade or be annihilated. Commodore Perry would give them a year to think it over. The Japanese, under threat of far more advanced weaponry, were forced to open to the outside and trade, allowing for cultural influence to flow inward once again. This marked the end of the Edo period and the beginning of the Meiji Restoration, which toppled traditional powers in Japan and rewrote the social order. Japan would modernize quickly and adopt many Western practices in coming decades, to the point that they would become a major power in Asia by the turn of the century. The significance of the Edo period lies in an annealing of the Japanese cultural identity. The art is beautiful and truly unique.